on board right now, and Jordan Taylor, who's back with the family team.
Listen here on board, they call it Chewbacca mode over at Acura. The regen and the traction control right here. You hear that rumble, rumble. A lot of electronic control at work on the D-cell and the XL side. Maybe the outright pace isn't there, but like you said, if they can get close and mix it up in traffic, as you see, this is kind of that meat of the GTD field. And if we zoom out as they pass through NASCAR turn 2, back into the infield in turn 3 is where you'll find the GTP leaders. So with 9 minutes left, those two cars, the white one leading is Felipe Nasr. That's great stuff from our NBC camera crew. Thank you, guys.
There's a 10-second per lap difference between the front runners here in GTP and GT Daytona front runners. So that's how quickly they'll catch them, and 10 seconds a lap faster. They'll be with them here soon.
Going to be exciting.
About 5 laps to get to the checkered flag here this afternoon, so plenty of time for Tom Blomqvist still to try and chase down Felipe, look for an opportunity. He's hoping that that traffic comes his way. It's a give and a take typically over a full stint, but he just needs one opportunity to send it down the inside.
Now, if you're into conspiracies, there's plenty of Porsche GT cars. There are no Cadillac GTD cars, but there are some Corvettes in the family. So GTD drivers have rear view mirrors. You just never know where those alliances might fall in terms of making it harder or easier for GTP drivers to come racing through.
Fastest part of the racetrack we're coming up to right now through the tri-oval. These GTP machines hitting over 200 miles an hour right there. Look out deep. Blomqvist again takes that Cadillac in on the brakes. Little twitch there. Are we playing with the tools? The electronic diff, trying to make this car rotate into the apex, find some lap time.
Look at that, Pippo Durrani. The champ, he knows what this feels like.
Oh boy, and he's up ahead.
He's put in a huge effort in this Rolex 24 for the Action Express Cadillac Racing Team. Joseph Newgarden, he did this race last year. He did Petit Le Mans, and this is really only his 3rd endurance sports car race. He could not be happier. He bugged, and that's the right word, he bugged and annoyed Roger Penske and Tim Cindric for years. Let me in give me a sports car ride. Let me have a go at this. Let me do these events. He finally got the opportunity. Did well at Petit Le Mans last year. Did well in Tower Motorsports LMP2 car last year. And here he is with a shot at winning overall within the 12-month time frame of when he won his maiden Indianapolis 500. What a story that is.
Let's not forget his teammate Dane Cameron. Despite his IMSA success with 3 championships, he's never won here. Felipe Nasr won in GT a couple of years ago, along with Matty Campbell, who he's co-driving with again this weekend. What would it mean to Dane to get his renewed IMSA campaign back on track? Blomqvist just hoping that one of these cars that they are going around will play a blocker for him and allow him to close back up on the Felipe and maybe surprise him.
Nasr has just been brilliant through traffic on this stint.
That's tight there for Tom to get to the inside of that GT car. Really tight there through turn 1.
There's very little room in the apex of turn 1 between the inside edge of the track and the pit wall that separates pit lane from the racetrack. That is very unforgiving if you get squeezed unexpectedly.
Running on minimal sleep, these two drivers are expected to be at their absolute best at the end of 24 hours with decision-making, finesse, execution, and determination, extracting everything they can when they're on the verge of exhaustion.
When you think about the race cars as well, those drivers will have hit the brakes about 4,000 times in this 24-hour race. The gearboxes, the transmission, they would have shifted about 27,000 times. That's the punishment that they're giving these race cars.
5.5 minutes is all that is left, and less than a second separates the top 2 for overall honours. We couldn't ask for any more. And this race has a tradition of late race drama. Are we going to see it? Or is Felipe Nasr going to be just that frustrating distance enough far away from Tom Blomqvist that he can't do anything about it?
But the traffic you talked of is now coming, Townsend. You see it up ahead. They're looking way down the road. They're covering a football field a second almost at these sort of speeds. Oh, twitch there for Nasr.
Those rear tires, those Michelins are starting to get a little squirmy at the back for Felipe Nasr. That was probably a bit of surprise. Don't forget the GTP cars, the braking system on the back is brake by wire. It's not as intuitive. There's not as much of a natural feel like these drivers have known since they were young kids go-karting. It's all digital at the back end as you see a replay there, and it can easily get away from you.
Yeah, we saw the 31 car have a similar moment about an hour ago with Tom Blomqvist on board, and again they can work with the tools. Here's that traffic. So far so good for Nasr.
Ford Mustang up ahead.
Now Blomqvist has got to negotiate that, coming back up onto the Speedway Oval, and does so. Nicely done, another one off his list, but time is running out, less than 4 minutes. Negotiating more, GT traffic.
Nasr gains in that traffic exchange. Blomqvist was probably compromised a little bit by how he could go back to power, getting underneath that Mustang there, coming back up onto the speedway.
Things have calmed down in the other three classes. 4.5 seconds in LMP2, more than half a minute in GTD Pro, and almost 3 seconds in GTD. This is where the action is, and it's for the big prize, the overall win in the Rolex 24.
Gonna find a gaggle of GT cars on the front straightaway here. They should be able to clear, at least Nasr will, going into the brake zone, but there are 7 GTD cars in a pack up ahead. That's what Nasr has to contend with next. He does not want to find those in the Le Mans chicane.
Going to be really close whether this is 2 or 3 more laps. Nasr almost needs to win it at a slightly slower pace to get the checkered flag. It is a time-certain race. But if there's 1 second left on the board, they do another complete lap and race for one more lap around this circuit. Just over 3.5 miles. Can he manage that as well?
Coming to the white flag this time. If Tom Blomqvist and Cadillac Racing are going to do anything about it, they've got to do it now. This is how they got separated.
Traffic playing its part. Nasr is through, and then Blomqvist has to deal with it.
Yeah, but Nasr now has the worst of possible situations. Look at all of these cars headed to the bus stop. Is it going to work in his favor or against him? It looks like he'll clear these 3 before the brake zone. It's looking really good for Nasr here. He's got a nice gap now to get on the brakes into the Le Mans chicane.
The key is it takes the pressure off. You're not having to make a panic move. You can see that Blomqvist is disappearing in that rear view camera that he's looking at to see where his closest competitor is. He's dropping back. That allows Nasr to make smarter, more patient decisions.
And now if you're Blomqvist, you're getting worried. You're thinking, okay, I need to do something really big here if I can close this gap, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
It's going to be tight looking at the clock, guys. Really tight.
Checkered flag, the Rolex 24 is won by Porsche Penske Motorsport for the first time since 1969. The captain's squad has done it.
And that came as a surprise because race control only announced at the last second the checker was coming out.
Wow! And look, even the drivers were caught out by that. They're like, did we win? You sure did. And all 4 drivers at Porsche Penske Motorsport are first-time overall Rolex 24 winners. Phenomenal effort. In LMP2, it's not quite as close. Christian Rasmussen in the 18 Era Motorsport prototype, along with Ryan Dial, 17-year-old sensation Connor Zilic, and Dwight Merriman are going to win LMP2. This has been a hotly contested class from the drop of the green. Bigger numbers this year, a lot of excitement about this class. But how about this win for this quartet?
Oh yeah, and especially given the fact that Ryan Dial and Dwight Merriman, 2 of the most experienced drivers, frankly the most experienced drivers in this field of LMP2 cars, they know this chassis, they know this class, and they know the feeling now of winning at Daytona.
Hero Motorsports celebrate. And there is the 17-year-old Connor Zilic in GTD Pro and GTD. They're coming to the line at the same time. It's going to be Winwood Racing gets its second win in the class, and Farisi Competizione, car 62, does it in edition 62 of the Rolex 24. Oh, man. And look, now they celebrate.
They're only just believing it. Certainly some question marks with the time on the clock. They will have to address that, but nonetheless, Penske won. Day Cameron his first victory. Josephs gets his first Rolex 24. What a day of racing.
Newgarden joins a very illustrious list. The likes of AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti. In this race, Scott Dixon and Alexander Rossi. Others like Al Unser Jr., Dario Franchitti and Elio Castro Neves to be Indy 500 winners and Rolex 24 and Daytona winners. Well done, Joseph, and the whole Porsche Penske squad.